Hello everyone, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin, and today we are going to be diving into not only 1 week, but the next 2 weeks for you to see what's coming in and energy, insights, and guidance. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. Alright, so welcome back to each and every one of you who join me for these weekly readings. It's lovely to have you guys back because I've been really enjoying doing these timeless readings lately, but it's kind of nice to have something really chill, something really kind of just like low-key, have some, hot chocolate or some coffee or just some tea on the side and like chill out with me while we read into your next 2 weeks. So this one's kind of more chill, something more fun, nothing too intense, and yeah, so I hope you guys are here. I hope you guys already grabbed something nice to eat, something nice to drink, and we'll dive right in here in a moment. But I do want to say a huge warm welcome to anyone who's new. I use tarot, oracle, and charm messages to bring these readings to you, and I put out new readings every single Monday, either on timeless readings like I mentioned, these more chill readings for your weekly forecast, and then also readings on your monthly blessings. So if you're interested in any of those or anything else that I kind of bring out, feel free to join this beautiful community by subscribing if you're interested. But with all that said, let's go ahead and dive right on into these piles. So I decided to go for something more like mechanical, like get your hands dirty kind of stuff, like seeing all the beautiful little mechanics to certain things and like old things as well. So let's go ahead and look at them. So here with pile number 1, we have a music box. This I took apart like in 5th grade from a music box that one of my best friends gave me, and this is the music in case if it gets copyrighted or something, I probably won't put this in, but here we are. I couldn't take that it didn't finish. But there you are with the music box here, pile number 1. So that is, if this is resonating with you, here it is for pile number 1. But here for pile number 2, we have this magnet. It's a old payphone, and this used to sit on my fridge when I was a child, and I absolutely loved it because if you pressed and it doesn't work anymore, but if you pressed here, it would make like a little ring, 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 ring sound, and it would drive my parents insane while they were cooking supper, but it was a lot of fun. So we have this little like payphone, and you can make little calls, and it was super cute. So that is pile number 2, in case that resonates for you. And lastly here for pile number 3, we have this old Kodachrome for daylight color reversal film. And this film used to sit in a don't worry, this film was already dead anyway, so it's not like it wasn't anything I had to worry about, but yeah, because it actually just comes out here. But we have this film cartridge, and this came out of a old film camera that my brother bought me for Christmas a few years ago, so this was just what was already in it, so it didn't have anything that really mattered to me, but it was a lot of fun anyway to just kind of pull out and play with. So that is for pile number 3, little film. So those are the 3 piles you can choose from, pile 1, 2, and 3 here. But let's go ahead and take a deep breath together so you can make a better decision on which pile is really calling to you, which energy is really resonating, all that kind of stuff, and kind of connect with your intuition. So let's go ahead and take a deep cleansing breath together here now. And as always, there's no right or wrong way to choose your pile. You can choose 1 pile, 2 piles, 3 piles. You can choose a pile, change your mind, flip-flop as you need to. There is no right or wrong way to do this. So feel free to choose any one of the piles or multiple piles if that strikes your fancy. But if you already know which pile is for you, feel free to go down in the description where you can find the timestamps to each of the piles, as well as within the chapter marks provided for you within the video, but there's lots of wonderful, helpful links down below as well if you're interested in private readings with me, for one-on-one readings for love, for relationships, for career, anything like that. I also have options where I can send it in the mail to you as well, which is a lot of fun. I really enjoy that old world style that these sort of piles showcase. If you're interested in like typewritten letters or things like that, that's also an option. But also I have like which decks and supplies I use, as well as my Instagram, where you can kind of connect with me on a more personal level. So if any of that interests you, or the other things that I have down below, feel free to have a little look-see. But if you already know which pile is for you, feel free to use the timestamps, as we are going to be starting with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose this music box, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it down right here for you so you can see it during your reading here today. As we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations, we're also going to be using the Modern Witch Tarot, which I realized I haven't used in a while on here, which I'm really excited about today. And also the Language of Flowers deck and the Secret Garden Oracle. We won't be using the letter tiles today, as it's just, a typical 2-week kind of check-in. So we're just going to kind of see what comes in for you, group 1. So what do you have coming in for the next 2 weeks in energy, insights, and guidance, group 1? What do we need to know about the next 2 weeks for you? Ooh, this one was flying. It's so funny because when I was just shuffling these up to make sure that everything was shuffled, the energy felt nice before this reading, this one kept flying out. So I had this feeling that it was going to fall out on one of your guys' readings. So here we are with the Ace of Cups. It was definitely coming out for you guys today for the next 2 weeks. So let's see any more information for you guys here. Group 1. You also have here the 7 of Cups, so a lot of emotional, feeling related energy and relationship related energy with all of these cups. But we'll see what else there is there for you. Ooh, there we go. Okay, and then we also have Judgment. Ooh, so like an awakening. Okay. So those are your 3 tarot cards here, group 1. Let's see what else you have coming in with your oracle messages. So we'll start here with the Secret Garden. So here we go, group 1. What do you have coming up in energy, insights, and guidance for the next 2 weeks for you, group 1? What do you have coming in? What do you have coming in? What energy is being brought forth? Wow, you had so many fly out, but one flew out farther than the other, so I'm actually going to go with that one. That's so funny too, because this was also the one that flew out when I was first just sort of shuffling these up. Like I said, because I always that's sort of something I tend to do before I get all of these ready to go for you guys, all of these readings. I like to just shuffle energy out, make sure they're cleansed and ready to go. And that was one of the ones that kept flying out. So you guys, it was already like, channeling your energy there. So you have here joy. Make time for the little things today. So there you go with joy. So interesting. And then we'll go ahead and do your final message. This deck actually didn't have anything fly out, so no epiphanies here, but still so interesting that both of the ones that flew out today just beforehand showed up for you, group 1. So what else do you have coming in? Ooh. Okay. You definitely have the jumper cards. So you have both Tiger Lily here with security. Here, let me try to see if it'll focus here, but it says, choose the safe harbor for now. So that's security. And then you also had Bird of Paradise here with self-acceptance. You are so much more. And then there's this like opening, this blooming energy that's coming with this card, which I think is really interesting too, with all of the sort of Ace of Cup energy that you have here. We're going to go ahead and pull one more oracle message here with your watercolor affirmations, but stay tuned later because we're going to be doing your charm cast and get all the little nitty-gritty details. But let's go ahead and finish off your cards here. So group one, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for the next 2 weeks for group 1. Group one. Oof, right here. Ooh, okay. This one's been coming out quite a lot lately. So it says here, find, seek, and connect. It's one of my favorite ones that I made for this deck, so it always makes me happy when I see it, but find, seek, and connect, and there's all those little connecting of the dots happening here. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and start diving into your messages for the week, or for the next 2 weeks rather. All right, so I'm seeing two different kinds of energies coming in. One with this Judgment card sort of showcasing, especially with the Seven of Cups here, about indecision and not really sure where you're going to go. That's sort of an energy that I see coming in, especially with this Security card, showcasing to me that you're feeling maybe indecisive about a path that you're wanting to decide on, something that you've been sort of up in arms about, you're not really sure, or you've been putting it kind of under the rug and not allowing yourself to choose a path, choose a decision. You've been maybe daydreaming about it, thinking like, ooh, maybe not, maybe here, maybe there. And there hasn't really been any choice made. There hasn't been any like path that's been paved based off of the Seven of Cups. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes that's all we need is just to think about all of the different opportunities that are around us and just sort of stay in that. So you do have the Security here, which says choose the safe harbor for now. So it may be a good time right now to awaken yourself to the idea of which cup here that you have all of these different opportunities, which cup is actually going to be the one that makes you feel the safest, the one that makes you feel comforted, the one that it doesn't have to be something that's insanely outside of your comfort zone or something that you feel like you have to do because other people are doing it or whatever. Just do what awakens your soul, that gives you joy every single day, that you think will actually spark joy in your life and make you feel secure. So that could be security as in you feel secure in what you're doing and where you're going and like your everyday, day-to-day like feelings and emotions, but it could be also that you feel more secure in like your finances or the opportunity itself, maybe the people that are surrounding you within this opportunity, this cup that you want to take and use and motivate yourself forward on a path, is one that it's not like insanely outside of your comfort zone, and that actually might be the path that's going to be the best for you, and that one, maybe even one that you're being sort of guided towards at this time. So I see that coming up here for the next 2 weeks, that you're at least heading towards a decision. You're starting to create a heading on where you want to go. And it has to be something that actually sparks joy and comfort for you. But on the other hand, I also see another sort of more exciting, very wholesome message with the Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups can represent a new relationship coming in, new people coming in, new friendships, new platonic relationships, new family members, anything like that. Someone who is new to you that you feel like you've completely opened your cup to. Like you're just so infatuated with the person, or you're just really in love with learning and meeting a new person. But on the same token, and one that I'm sort of seeing more for you, is self-acceptance and self-love for the next 2 weeks. Self-love is in maybe even feeling more secure in yourself, maybe finding, your own comfort spots, what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, and where that all comes in. The other thing too is with that find, seek, connect, it can be that you're connecting with new people. So this could be a double message if you feel like you're going to be meeting new people, but also wanting to bring in self-love and self-care. And the thing about self-love and self-care, some people kind of put them both in the same boat. I feel like for me personally, self-love means that you are filling back up your cup, finding love within yourself, finding acceptance, especially too, since you have self-acceptance showing up here, you are so much more. Makes me think that you're finding love within yourself, believing in yourself, finding faith and trust and love within yourself. As for self-care, can be things like magical self-care practices, ritual baths, things like that, facials, all that kind of good stuff too. But it can also be self-care as in taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, making sure to have rest when you need it, making sure to do the things that you need to do to make yourself feel secure. And sometimes that has to mean getting outside of your comfort zone. And sometimes it just means that you need to have that rest come in. So whatever you're really needing right now to refill your cup, especially if you feel like your cup has been really low. And what I mean by your cup is your energy levels, your vitality, how you're feeling on like an emotional level, if you feel very emotionally drained at this time, it's time to refill your cup back up so you can have wonderful opportunities to come back in for you, so you can have new people start coming into your life. Because if your cup is low, how are you supposed to fill anyone else's cup with joy and all those other wonderful things? So to seek other people out, especially if you are seeking someone out, especially after like Valentine's Day and everything, as we're moving into March, a lot of people might be seeking new relationships at this time as spring starts to come in, or even fall on that matter too. I really think a lot of it has to come to seeking connection with yourself, as well as seeking out these new connections that are coming in from this opportunity. But with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to your charms group 1 here. Like I said, I really do think a lot of it comes down to just finding self-love and self-care within yourself, self-acceptance, and just finding those things that you really truly love about yourself, that you're grateful for yourself, just giving gratitude towards your body every day, just knowing that you woke up and you're allowed to have another day in this life. Like, there's all these wonderful things that we can be grateful for, and I just feel like you guys are finding some of that this next 2 weeks, and it's a reminder for you to seek those things out. Okay, so anyway, I'm rambling. Let's go ahead and move on to your charms. So group 1 here, group 1. What do we have coming in for group 1 for the next 2 weeks? Group 1. Okay, I was making quite a mess, but I'm going to go ahead and pick up the ones that fell off of the board here, and we'll look into what actually fell on the board and go ahead and sort on through it. So, that's an interesting message to have coming in. You have some other messages too, which is really interesting as well. It's not too overly complicated. Lots of hidden messages here though. So we'll read into that. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so you can see everything. Don't worry, nothing is lost down here. I have it all on the board. But let's go ahead and dive into your heart of the week, or the heart of the next 2 weeks, looking into what is at the center of your energy. And what you have coming in here is the number 6. So 6 could represent something very specific to you, someone you work with, some sort of opportunity, maybe a life path number or something like that. But you have the number 6 coming up here. But what I personally view 6 as is harmony and balance, right? Finding that like almost temperance energy, that perfect in between, right? So between security, outside of your comfort zone, between where self-love and self-care meet, and self-acceptance, as well as like judgment of yourself. And then what's right underneath it is the charm of the village, or of those within our life. So this can represent travel, or traveling to new villages, looking at new places. But I also see this as like, who's in your life right now? Who is part of your personal bubble, your personal village, your personal space? And how are they affecting your self-acceptance, your self-love, and your self-growth? How are they helping you find harmony, and how are they not? Because you also had underneath here the number 8. And 8 represents money. Or represents our finances, or the things that we are feeling very abundant in. So abundance doesn't just come in the forms of money, like in those opportunities that may be coming in. They may be financial related, but they also can be represented by emotional abundance too, where you feel maybe like your cup is being really fulfilled, a lot of abundance and love coming in from your community, from your space, from those people that can bring that balance to you if you feel like you feel unsafe in it right now too, and they can give you that safety as well, feeling heard, feeling like accepted in a space, instead of feeling judged and feeling like you have to protect yourself, because you do have here the thimble, which represents protection, but it can also be a useful tool as well to protect yourself. So what are some habits that you need to bring in boundaries with these people? So yes, they can be helpful. Yes, they can help bring in that balance, but some people you may need boundaries, emotional boundaries especially. So if people are really getting into your space, trying to take over your emotional mind, or kind of not allow you to come up with your own opinions, your own thoughts, that's when you might need to just push them away, create a boundary, an emotional boundary, so that you can figure out what you want out of life, where your goals and thoughts are in terms of the Seven of Cups, where you're kind of indecisive, and what makes you feel secure and accepted with the people around you. Some of the other charms that we had here too, and the one that I thought was really interesting, is you have the pendulum charm, which represents feeling kind of wishy-washy, feeling kind of like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and can't make a decision and just back and forth, kind of backpedaling. And you have it on the action moon, which is all about putting action forth towards a goal or towards an opportunity or towards something that you're really looking after. And with that makes me think again of that Seven of Cups. There's definitely an opportunity that it's going to either present itself within the next 2 weeks or has already presented itself, and you've been sort of back and forth, not making a decision. What do you want? What you don't want? What are your goals? What aren't your goals? And sort of creating a practical goal there that makes you feel more secure, feel more safe in what you're doing. And so there may need to have some more like careful thought, but there will be action taken within this space. And some of your final charms, like I said, I kind of had vacation vibes from this, but you do have the two brothers charms. This can represent brothers or other male figures in our lives, but then you also have it on the flip side. It can also represent illusion, where things are kind of twisted, words get twisted. There's that illusion, right? So where is there illusion in your life? Where are you possibly head in the clouds illusion? Or maybe the people that you're connecting with are creating these illusions in your mind because, like I said, there may not be emotional boundaries. So there could be someone manipulating your words, your opinions, your thoughts. So be careful of those people within your life. They aren't really truly there for you. And what I think is interesting too is not even interesting, just in general, I read this quote the other day that said something along the lines of, when you put up a boundary, when you finally set your boundaries, the people who are going to be against those boundaries, who aren't supporting you within those boundaries, are the people who directly benefited from the boundaries that you were creating. And those who are on Instagram probably saw me share this to my stories, but it's so entirely true, because if you're creating a boundary where people aren't meant to cross it, the people who are supporting you won't cross it. They're going to be like, yes, put that boundary up, do what you need to do. They're going to accept you and not judge you for that boundary. But the people who directly benefited from you not having that boundary are going to be the people that are going to want to cross over it. They're going to be the ones that want to continue to have the benefits and reap the rewards of that. So be sure to know where people are trying to cross it and why they are and what their motives are. The other thing too that you had near that charm, and it's like a little toy plane. It's not one of the full, because I have two different charms in here of planes. This is the toy plane though. So this represents being playful with the idea of travel or traveling somewhere. It can be smaller trips, ones that aren't as like intense or grand, like going to the Grand Canyon or something really huge, or going across the ocean. Nothing like huge, but like smaller trips that bring you joy, that bring you peace of mind. So maybe getting out in nature, going to a place you haven't got to see in a while, might be on your list. Maybe is one of those opportunities as well that you are maybe unsure about safety with, but as long as you feel safe, as long as you are still comforted and you can find a way that feels like you have your own boundaries, then that can be a way for you to get kind of the best of both worlds there. And lastly, you have this little kind of charm cluster. This is the charm of manifestation, or the charm of sort of magical manifestations. It also represents transformation, as this used to be just a slip of paper, and then I turned it into a very gross star at this point. I might need to put a new one in here, but a star nonetheless. So it's taking something of the mundane and making it something that can be really beautiful, which I think really connects to that card that said joy. Make time for the little things. So the little joys in our lives, the little things that were once just paper and then we made them a star. So until you look at it with the intention or the thought that like, this could bring me joy, this is bringing me joy, this is giving me gratitude and all that kind of stuff, until you actually see it and look at it, those little tiny joys in our lives, you might just miss it. The other thing too is you have the broken record charm. So this can represent music coming in. So maybe you guys are really interested in music, or you want, especially since you chose the music box, I wouldn't be surprised, but if you're really into music, this might be the time to, especially if that opportunity is about creating music or working through other sorts of types of creative pursuits, this may be the time to really work towards those and find new perspective on them as well, because you have the higher perspective charm of the Eiffel Tower. So like, I kind of am getting like a feeling that if you guys go on a trip or a vacation or like some small little getaway for yourself, that's going to renew your cup, especially in terms of creativity is what I'm kind of seeing here, because you do have a lot of creative energy showing up here towards the end, and I feel like beyond just self-acceptance, you may be filling your cup back up using your creative energy, so that may be a little joy in your life that helps continue to fill up this cup. But with all of that said, group 1 here, I hope you enjoyed this reading today. Like I said, look for those little joys in life. You're going to be looking towards a new opportunity that you're awakening yourself to, or someone is awakening within you. Be sure to create boundaries between the people who are trying to cross your boundaries and the ones who aren't, and try to see like where that harmony comes from, you know, making clear boundaries to people because you want the people who are truly there for you to be there for you. Also, self-acceptance. A lot of Ace of Cups is kind of at the middle of your whole reading here, so a lot of it has to do with filling back up your cup with little joys, with these new opportunities, and with feeling secure in yourself and the places that you want to go. So I hope you enjoyed this reading here with me today. Feel free to like this video if you did like it. I really would appreciate it, as it helps this channel continue to grow, and honestly it's just something really simple that you can do to help support this channel. And also feel free to let me know in the comments down below how you felt this reading went for you, if you had specific charms that really spoke to you, or any of the cards. I love hearing your guys' different ideas on how it resonated. It's always interesting to me. And also, if this is one of your very first videos here with me, or readings rather, I hope you enjoyed with the charms and all the kind of nostalgic fun elements. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to check out all of my other videos if you're interested. I've got lots of timeless videos that you could watch right now if you're interested. Also, ones on monthly blessings, and then I have these ones on your kind of weekly forecast. So if you're interested in any of that, feel free to subscribe and join in on this beautiful community. But with all of that said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to pile number 2, but I wish you guys a wonderful 2 weeks ahead, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Hello group 2, if you've decided to choose this payphone, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it down right here so you can see it during your reading here today, as we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations. We're also going to be using the Modern Witch Tarot, which I realized I hadn't used in quite a few weeks, so I'm really excited to be using this one here today for us, as well as the Language of Flowers deck and the Secret Garden Oracle. We won't be using the letter tiles today, as we're just kind of doing kind of a chill 2-week check-in, but let's go ahead and start looking into your next 2 weeks in energy, insights, and guidance. Group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for group 2 for the next 2 weeks for them. Feel free to send your guys' energy in. I've been kind of experimenting with that because I kind of channel your guys' energy and see what's sort of coming in for each of the piles, but I think it's interesting to see if it changes at all, having your guys' energy come in. So here we have the Knight of Swords. So there we are with the Knight of Swords at the front of your week, at the forefront rather. So let's see what else. Group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for group 2. Ooh, you also have the Devil. So there you go with the Devil. Let's see your final card here for the week, for the next 2 weeks rather. Group 2. Right, and you also have the King of Wands. Ooh, okay. 2 very forward, very passionate energies coming in here, and then the Devil on the side. So let's see what else is coming in before I speak on any more of it. But group 2, we're looking for any information in the next 2 weeks. So we have here Wallflower, look for the crack in the concrete to find your way out. Ooh, that's an interesting one. So there you are with Wallflower. And then we'll go ahead and do a flower message here with the language of flowers for you, group 2, for the next 2 weeks. What do you have coming in energy, insights, or guidance? Group 2. Ooh, you have 2 as well. Group 1 also had 2 from this one. It's very chatty today. So let's see what you had. So you have awareness. And with that, it says here, wake up, roll the clouds away, and look. So awareness, really looking at the picture. And then you also have here renewal, time to begin again, stronger and better. So there you go with renewal as well. So those are your cards so far. We're going to go ahead and pull you one more before we do the charms later on. So stay tuned for those. But group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for the next 2 weeks for you. Group 2. Ooh, okay. So you have here, breathe in a fresh new start, as well as don't waste a today with a tomorrow. That's definitely like the procrastinating energy that I personally get sometimes with like, I'll do it tomorrow, and then I never really get to it. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and start diving into your messages here. So there's, like I said, quite a bit of determined energy alongside this devil. And the devil talks about things that are kind of chaining us back, holding us back, and they can be ones that sort of creep in, which I think is what was so interesting about the wallflower here. Look for the crack in the concrete to find your way out. So these are cycles that and habits that we start to inhabit within our lives, and we don't even notice them. They're the ones that are very like subtle. It's not like things that you always pick up on, but you may be now aware of them, where it's just like all of a sudden I was doing this thing, and then I realized that it was starting to harm me on an emotional or physical or spiritual level. So what is in those cracks in the concrete? What are you maybe not looking at right now, or letting yourself be aware of, especially since you have the awareness card as well, that these little like devil things that are kind of pushing themselves into your life and kind of influencing you to go towards things that you know aren't good for you. You know you don't want them. You know these people or these places or these things, these coping mechanisms that aren't working for you and aren't maybe worked for you in the past but don't currently work for you now. Where are you being aware to that? Where are you waking up and pushing those clouds away and seeing what is truly there so that you can move forward? You can create better coping mechanisms. You can create better people in your life to surround you. So where are those coming in? Especially since you have that breathe in a fresh new start and then that procrastination kind of energy. It makes me think that you maybe know these things are happening. You may have seen the cracks and sort of dismissed them, moved past them, walked right on past. But a fresh new start is waiting for you within these next 2 weeks. A fresh new start, possibly because, like I said, you have all this determined energy, and I feel like you're finally allowing yourself to look at the cracks. You're finally allowing yourself to find the healing or the coping mechanisms that will be more healthy for you, that will work for you, possibly working with other people within your life that could help you on this path as well, that have seen these things that are happening and can help to guide you towards a better path. That could be talking with a therapist, that could be talking with your parents or your family or your friends, your chosen family, things like that. Whatever comes in for you, your friends too, because you do have here as well renewal, time to begin again, stronger and better. So again, there's another like time to begin, breathe in a fresh new start, don't waste a today with tomorrow. So if you didn't feel determined before, I feel like in these next 2 weeks you're finally going to start catching the courage, especially since the King of Wands has such courage and direction. Once they know where they're going, they set their sights on it and they make a goal, they make a plan, they put their foot forward. And where like I personally am a type of procrastinator where it's like I'm either all in or I'm not in at all. So it's either one or the other, like full force on like the foot on the throttle kind of thing, or I'm just gonna sit on the couch and do nothing. So you may be that you have felt that way, like I have felt in the past, where you just are like, nah, I'm just gonna let it sit there. But it's time to put action to it. It's time to move forward, make a plan, make those ideas that are gonna help you to grow and to bring this renewal, this fresh, wonderful energy. Like, it feels so much lighter, so much easier, so much more simple. And sometimes we think that these coping mechanisms are actually helping us, because like I said, they're like these little cracks. You don't notice them, but once you do, you can see the damage that they're making, the more difficult ride that you actually, where you think it's possibly creating a more simple path, it's actually making things more chaotic, making things a little bit more difficult and heavy to follow through on. But this knight and this king are very determined. You also have the knight of wands, the knight of swords rather, that they're very intelligent. So on top of having the ideas of in which to sort of make a plan, you also have the intelligence, even if sometimes the knight of wands can get a little ahead of themselves, because they just go straight into the storm. I think that's the kind of energy you kind of need right now, going straight into the storm, the eye of the storm. That may be the energy you need, because you've been sort of skirting on the edge. With all of that said, group 2 here, we're going to go ahead and move on to your charms, because I really want to see more information on what these types of, like if it's people, if it's specific energies, other habits, get some more information on that, as well as just see like where this procrastination may be coming from, so you can create that strength to move forward and create a path for yourself. So here we go. Group 2 here, group 2. We're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance for group 2 here for the next 2 weeks for group 2. Okay. You know what? I'm actually going to pull you a couple more. I feel like there's still something missing. So, group 2. Let's see. Anything else? Okay. So, alright, let's start diving in here. Ooh, so you have the clouded charm. Like I said, you're moving and rolling those clouds away. You're pushing that away, that energy that no longer served you. So I'm going to see here. Ooh, that's interesting, actually. I think I'm going to keep both out. But you had both, because I actually have 2 of these in case, like, they show up for, like, messenger sort of related charms. But when I get them together, it can represent like a relationship or something like that. But you had them both upside down and away from each other, almost on opposite sides. So I think that's really interesting. So we'll read into that as well. But yeah, okay. Let's see what's happening here. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so you can see more of what I'm talking about a little bit closer. There's nothing, actually there's one charm you can't see. So there's almost all the charms, actually. I think I'll zoom out just a little bit. And we'll go ahead and dive right on in now. But here in the heart of your next 2 weeks, you have sort of, like I said, I wanted to see more information on what this devil energy is coming from. What are these cracks that you've been sort of missing or not really communicating with yourself with? And some of it has to do, and this can resonate for different people in different ways, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't, because these may not all resonate with you. But you do have the letter M showing up here, as well as Z over here as well. So you have both M and Z showing up at some point here in your reading. So that may represent a name, a place, or maybe having to do with the habits or coping mechanisms that are no longer serving you. Coming up, especially with Z, as we're heading towards the new moon, which represents cleansing and a renewal, a new energy with the new moon. So movement away from that as well is what I was seeing with M. Like when I first saw it, it made me think of the rune Manas, which does represent moving forward as well. So it represents physical movement as well as representing like mankind in general. So it can represent that you're wanting to move away from certain things that are on more of like a societal level too, that maybe you felt pressured into, or on some level you felt like you had to fit in or do this thing that you didn't really personally love, possibly having to do with, you know, really big things that are like gender or society, or something to do with race or anything like that, where you feel kind of stuck into a position, and now you're kind of using your voice and having this determination as well, especially since it seems like a lot of people are possibly involved, because this represents the lots of people or a community kind of charm. Because you do have, like, I personally always thought when I had these as a kid, like whenever I made a puzzle, I always thought of these as a bunch of people, like at like a little conference or little meeting or sitting at a table together. So this can represent meetings, conferences, places where a lot of people meet up, Zoom meetings possibly as well. So maybe it's about finding time for yourself as well. There's so much movement. Then you also have the flexibility charm, which I need to put a new one in here, I keep forgetting, but this usually is stuck together. So it does represent being flexible, and flexible with your time, flexible with your space, your energy. And I think it's kind of funny though that we were talking about coping mechanisms that don't work. So you may have been, like I said, giving too much of your time to people, and that's part of the reason why this kind of snapped. The other thing too is you do have the change up your style charm. So this can represent your fashion, the way that you present yourself, especially since I was feeling sort of a gender related thing. Maybe the way that you present yourself, the way that maybe you don't want to shave anymore. Maybe you want to do other sorts of things where society has told you you have to perform or be one way. And this is just who you are. This is your authentic style, and you're playing around with it. And I think that's awesome. I think that's wonderful. I think that humans are wonderful, beautiful creatures and beautiful souls. And we should, just be our true, authentic, individual selves. So that's coming up here as well. And like I said, there's sort of a dual energy. So I kind of read these sometimes in pies. And so in one of the pie shapes, you have like the sun, which can represent a more masculine energy, or an energy that is more assertive, very like clear, determined, fiery, even King of Wands energy. So like I said, there's a lot of people possibly involved. And I feel like one of these people may be within this King of Wands realm, where they always have everything perfectly aligned, possibly perfectly aligned and ready to go, and they have all the thoughts and all the like all their ducks in order. And you may not, and maybe that is also something that you're just accepting about yourself too, because like I said, you have these two different birds, and one of them is on this side with that kind of King of Wands energy, and when it falls this way, it represents freedom, right? It represents kind of being able to fly away and having that freedom, but it fell this way, which makes me think that you're feeling like you don't have a freedom or a voice, or you can't speak up or be your true authentic self, or let yourself, just be who you are within these spaces with other people. And then you also have, on the other hand, another sort of section of it is, instead of King of Wands, you have here friendly energy. And then you have the Aquarius here. So you may be an Aquarius, or it may be that someone around you is an Aquarius, and this is sort of influencing what's going on with that devil energy. But you have friendly energy coming up next to the purple heart, which represents like divine energy, or the energy of like the crown chakra. So you're feeling very connected to a higher source. Either that could represent anything for you: gods, goddesses, deities, spirit guides, yourself, your higher self, the universe, multiverse, whatever it is for you. And there's like this friendly energy. So I feel like you may not feel very supported at this time with someone here and with someone here. And it's about finding your support by the people who are ready to support you, and how you can break free of the chains that are making you feel one of these two ways. Because like I said, there's a loss of freedom here. There's this loss of feeling free enough to just fly away and do your own thing, go after your own goals, make your own path, be your own true authentic self and have your own feelings. Maybe you're trying to be really friendly and you don't really talk about your spiritual side, or you don't really talk about that side of yourself because you feel like you don't have the freedom in which to do so. And it's not saying that you, like, especially if you're not in a safe place in which to talk about these issues or talk about these sides of yourself that you've been kind of chained and held back by, but it is at least being acceptance of yourself on some level, even if it doesn't have to be something that's communicated with other people, but at least communicated with yourself. The other sort of charm you have here is the tied together charm, so another sort of tied, feeling really, restricted. And then this is the reindeer, which represents kind of that fool energy. Anything's possible, Who says that Christmas is a hoax? Like, that reindeer can get you all over the world in 24 hours. No worries. Santa's got it, they got that sleigh. They can do everything, right? So you can believe in magic, believe in things within yourself that you didn't ever feel like you could believe in about yourself before, because other people's opinions or other people's ideas have been sort of, like holding you back, pushing you back, tying you down. So where are those people in your life? Are they this King of Wands? Are they this Knight of Swords? Are they this Aquarius? It may resonate different for each of you, but I really do think that not only is it coping mechanisms and things within your own cycles on your own personal level, but other people that are influencing that and making you stick to this cycle where they don't need to be. So anyways, I believe that is all of the charms other than this cloudy weather charm, which I really just talked about. I feel like it was just a connection again to the wake up and roll the clouds away and look. So an awareness charm. So being more aware of yourself and where you are, which, to be honest, I feel like this whole entire reading is just telling us, like, to be aware of yourself and the people that are around you and how they're influencing you and all of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the recap here, is basically just seeing who's really there for you, seeing why their energy may not be good for you at this time, if they're being friendly, or possibly if you feel like you're being, like, held into a space where you have to be, like, this perfect person and not being able to be your true authentic self. So within these next 2 weeks, you're probably going to be seeing that and trying to figure out where you can have a fresh new start and not delaying it anymore, but standing up for yourself in some way or another, even if that's just on the inside, if you don't feel safe enough to be your true authentic self in the situation you are in, but at least feeling accepted by yourself at the very least. So with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed this reading here with me today. I really enjoyed reading for you guys because, like I said, there was just such, I just really want this freedom for you guys. I really want that freedom of expression for each of you, so you can just have your own space to do what you want to do, and that you can move through these, or you're looking back and healing on these old moments of yourself where maybe you were in this position, whatever it is. I really did enjoy reading for you guys today, and I hope you guys took something wonderful from it for the next 2 weeks. And feel free to let me know in the comments down below if this resonated, if certain things really popped out for you, where maybe these two birds line up for you, anything like that. I'd love to know. Also, please be sure to give this video a like if you really did like this reading. I do truly appreciate it, as it helps continue to let this channel grow and is something very simple and easy to do to support this channel. Also, if you are new and this is one of your very first readings here with me, a huge welcome. It's lovely to have you guys here. And if this is one of the first or couple of first readings here with me, I hope you guys would like to join in on all of the fun by subscribing if you're interested, because I know a lot of you actually do watch but aren't subscribed. So if you're subscribed, you can always be sure to check in every Monday to see what's coming up next, because I also do spiritual readings and other sorts of timeless readings and monthly readings and all that kind of jazz, and so I don't want you guys to miss out. So feel free to subscribe if you'd like to join in on this beautiful community. And before I ramble anymore, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Wishing you the best for the next 2 weeks, and bye. Hello Group 3, if you've decided to choose this old film cartridge, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it down right here for you so you can see it during your reading here today. As we are going to be diving in with the charms, the watercolor affirmations, we're also going to be using the Modern Witch Tarot, which I realize it's been quite a few weeks since I've used this tarot deck, and I absolutely love it, so we're using it today. And also, we're going to be using 2 different oracle decks here of the Secret Garden Oracle Oracle and the Language of Flowers deck. But we won't be using the letter charms today, and I'll kind of keep those mostly for monthly readings and timeless readings, so you can check those two out if you're interested in more in the letter tile casting. But today I thought we'd keep it kind of chill, kind of simple, make this something a little more just like offbeat, and kind of look into your next 2 weeks. So group three, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance. Feel free to send your energy on in through the screen, so we can see kind of what's coming in. But here you have the 8 of Pentacles coming at you. Let's see what else. So I told the other groups, I've been kind of experimenting, seeing how your guys' energy comes in through the screen and seeing like through time and space what kind of energy comes in. So yeah, feel free to like send in anything and see what comes in. So here we are with the Hierophant, because usually I just channel it, but I think it's interesting to see if that creates more of a personal touch for you guys. Ooh, and you also have here the Magician. So there you go. There are all of your 3 cards. They just flew right out for you. So you have the 8 of Pentacles, the Hierophant, and the Magician. Ooh, seems kind of like you guys are going to have, like, you're working towards something, but is it more spiritual? Let's see. So let's see more information. You also have here Wildflower. Live an uncontrolled life free of growth. Wow, totally butchered that. But it says here, Wildflower, live an uncontrolled life free to grow anywhere and bound by nothing. So there you are with Wildflower. I absolutely love wildflowers. I was thinking about that the other day, that like, I don't know why I had this weird thought where I was like, wow, crops just weren't a thing all those years ago. Like, we had to make that happen, because otherwise it was wild before then. I don't know, crazy thought there. But anyways, so let's move on to your final oracle message before we do your affirmations. So group 3 here, what do you have coming in for the next 2 weeks? Group 3 in energy, insights, or guidance coming in for group 3 here. Group 3. There we go. Wow, every single group has had 2 cards flow out of this deck. That's so interesting. It was just meant to be. So you have here Moth Orchid with communication, listen and speak with greater care. And then you also have here Calla Lily with rejuvenation, reawaken, then stand stronger. Ooh, a lot of the cards that have been flowing out had something to do with a renewal, a sort of reawakening, a calling towards something. So I think that's really interesting as well. But let's see your final message here with the watercolor affirmations, but stay tuned later on in the video as we're going to be kind of reading and diving into your charms, which will give us more information on those little nitty-gritty details. But group 3 here, this one kind of fell in my hand as well. So you have here, decide which way to go. And then you also have be a little bolder. Ooh, interesting to have both of these come out. So there you go. Let's see. All right, so let's go ahead and start diving into your messages here at group 3. So with this decide which way to go, be a little bolder, and then this wildflower with living an uncontrolled life, bound by nothing, and to grow anywhere, it's really making me think that you guys might be traveling or moving or making a really bold move, right? Something that's very bold, very like ambitious is kind of the word that's coming in here too, that you're making a decision for yourself, for the good of yourself, that like, I'm ready to move, I'm ready to make a new journey, to take a new step, or at least start looking into some new aspect of your life that you hadn't been able to before. You're being a little bit more wild, more free. There's a lot of freedom and play that's happening here within the next 2 weeks. And that you're learning how to communicate that to yourself and communicate it to other people as well. That like maybe these are dreams that you've been like kind of seeking in your head, but nobody really knew they were happening. So you're starting to communicate not only with yourself what you want and what your goals and your feels are on what this direction is that you're trying to head in, but you're also being honest with other people too, and being like telling your truth and being like, hey, this is what I want, okay? Because it's going to bring this rejuvenation, this feeling of like renewal, a new start, a fresh new start for yourself. And some of it may be for some of you where you're legit traveling or moving towards something, but some of you also may just be moving or making a new step in something that you were already sort of pursuing before anyways. But what's cool is you have all of this cool energy happening at the top with your tarot card. So the Hierophant is all about having someone come in that can help teach you something about where you're wanting to go. But what I think is cool with all of them is that you have the Magician, which, like I said, you're being like that wildflower, free of anyone else telling you what you need to be, who you are, where you're going to go. You're just going to do it, right? Because you're empowering yourself. Even if you're not super spiritual, the whole point of the Magician, though, is that you are putting the power in your hands. You know, that's the whole point of a magician, is like if you're oppressed or if you're in a position of, you know, lesser power, or you feel like you've been disempowered, this is you putting yourself back on that pedestal, putting yourself higher and freer than you were before. So this is like empowering yourself with, especially if you are more on the magical side, you're empowering yourself through magic, through the practices and rituals that you are doing. And those practices and rituals may have something to do with something that you're moving towards, what this like bold energy is with this deciding which way to go. But it also may be that you're finally taking it upon yourself to put in some hard work and some research towards something as well that you haven't been able to before, that you're learning something new too, because the Eight of Pentacles is all about putting in a lot of hard work, a lot of energy, refining something as well. So something you may have already started, but you're kind of figuring out the little nitty-gritty details and how you're going to do it and where your energy is going to be put, you know, like to-do lists and task lists and like long-term goals there. But then you also have the Hierophant, which talks about sometimes tradition. But I feel like with that bolder energy and that wildflower energy, I really feel like you're kind of like going against what is typically done, what is traditional, what is standard, what is default, what is on the majority, right? You're just sort of making a decision that is for yourself, for your highest and greatest good, whether it falls under a traditional role or not, right? And the other thing about the Hierophant too is it talks about research. So with this hard work, I think you're refining your research, refining what it is and getting really to the heart of it, to the really pinpointing it down. Versus like, especially if you're traveling somewhere, maybe you're pinpointing exactly where you're going to travel, what hotels, what exact safety measures you'll have to do, all these kinds of stuff. So I feel like there's a lot of refinement as well on a research level and a learning level, and that you may even be learning with or through someone as well. So if you're taking classes as well with these next 2 weeks, you may be taking classes, maybe even spiritual classes at this time, and it's creating this rejuvenation, and you're also being communicated things that you hadn't known before as well that may be bolder for you, something that you've never tried before in your own spiritual practice or within something that you've never got to really explore before as well. But with all of that said, group 3 here, I'm going to go ahead and move on to your charms to see maybe more details on if this is more of a spiritual journey, if we're looking towards more like what you're communicating, where that rejuvenation is coming from, all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and dive right on into these charms, group 3. So group 3, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for the next 2 weeks for group 3. Group 3 here. Oof. I gave you quite a few charms here, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up the ones that kind of splattered everywhere as always. And I'll clean up what's also here as well so we can actually see what's happening here. There's a lot of like interesting energy. So, okay, we'll be reading into those. Okay, make sure there's nothing, something under there. It's always interesting. Okay. So, yeah, let's go ahead and zoom you in so you can see everything that's happening here on the board. There we go. There's nothing missing down here, so don't worry about that. But we're going to start here in the inner ring to see what's kind of at the heart of the next 2 weeks for you. And what I thought was interesting is you had that communication card. And then you have the miscommunication charm. So something you're not communicating with yourself or with others that's being kind of misconstrued. It's getting kind of lost in translation is sort of what this charm is, where it's just not really, you're like, what are you trying to say? How are you trying to convey it? I don't get it. I'm confused. And that may be because, like I said, you're being bolder and telling your truth to someone, and someone only sees you in one way, right? They only see the older versions of you, that one cycle of who you are and what you can be and what you can achieve. But you're going to just be honest and be like, yo, that's not my truth anymore. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm after. I'm going to go towards what is my truth now. And it's just being careful with those the way that you communicate with other people at this time. If you are communicating something new that they haven't seen about you before, or something that they didn't know before about you, something like that that's new, and making sure that when you are communicating, maybe that you're not talking too fast, or, missing some of the pieces so they get confused, right? Because this is the, that gray charm. It's like in between. It's not black and white. Things get kind of lost there. It gets a little muddy. And then you have the hummingbird charm, which is a really great communicator, but they also are very fast. So making sure that you aren't speaking too fast, that you slow down with your words, maybe come in with a good plan, those sorts of things, especially if it is about communicating something that is about yourself that people didn't know before. The other sorts of charms that are coming in, though, as well, is, like I said, you have a lot of that Eight of Pentacles energy, so you have a lot that you're trying to accomplish in 2 weeks, and it definitely shows with how much is showing up here. But you do have the overwhelmed sort of 10 of Wands energy that happens with this charm, which represents feeling busy, feeling overwhelmed. It's overstretched. You have too much on your plate. And it's time to kind of cut some of that out, because you actually have this charm connected. So it's time to cut out what isn't it's just too much. You just need to lower your plate a little bit. It's not because you aren't heading towards something that you want or something that you need, but making sure that you have enough spoons to do it, that you have enough time to do it, that you have enough energy to do it, those sorts of things, and that you don't hit burnout that this charm can sort of showcase. The other thing too that you have here is the charm of feeling sort of cornered. I always think of this as the cornered charm because it has like these 3 different people and you're sort of feeling cornered. But with that clear communication, I feel like that'll clear that up. So making sure that you communicate really well these next 2 weeks is really important. You also have some love charms sort of showing up here. So you have the romantic love, the very lovey-dovey kind of date night kind of love that's showing up here. And you have it next to, or rather on, the waning moon side, which represents like releasing things, refining things, letting things go so you can make for the new. So this may be that there's just certain things that you aren't allowing into your relationship, possibly because you're feeling really busy and you haven't been able to put that into your plans for the next moon cycle, letting that actually be something you're putting at the forefront. Or at this time, it's just there needs to be a little bit more love, a little better communication with things that have to do with love and relationships and romance. And if that isn't resonating with you because you're single right now, it also can just be, your own relationship with love with yourself, giving love to yourself, having time for self-care time, self-love time there. And then lastly, you have like this huge cluster here that's happening and another piece of the puzzle. So this represents pieces of the puzzle, right? And like I said, you're working towards a lot of things at the moment. So this is just sort of one piece of the puzzle. And what's interesting is you have like the hesitation charm, because this makes me think of like the Page of Swords. They're hesitating. They're not flying. They're not held back. They're not like chained up or anything like that. They're not in a bird cage, but they're kind of hesitating. And it may be for some of you, you may feel like you're hesitating, you aren't making that step, you're not deciding to move forward. But for some of you, it also may be that you need to contemplate a little bit longer. You need to sit and really think about things, take things a little slower. Like you had that hummingbird, you're just flying a little too fast. So making sure that you take the time that you need, not that you can't make the decision on where you want to go and be bold about it, but making sure that you not only communicate slower, but also take your time. Because you may just be trying to just move a little too fast. The other sort of relationship charm you have here too, though, is the really great communication charm of the partnership charm with dolphins, because dolphins are wonderful communicators. They love to communicate, especially with humans as well. So they're great communicators. But what you have here alongside all of this like miscommunication that's happening is the delicate charm. This is the delicate china plate. It's very easy to chip and break and drop and mess up a little bit. So you maybe need to strengthen your relationship at this time. Maybe there's something that you're maybe not making enough time for them, or you're not communicating enough with them. There's just more communication that needs to happen here on this level. And like I said, that can also be with a friend, that can be with yourself, with a family member. It doesn't have to be strictly romantic. It can be platonic as well. And then lastly here in this little pie slice is, again, you have another cycles charm. So where you had the cycles here with communication, this time you have just cycles in general and breaking a cycle. So if you found piles 2 and this one resonating with you, you kind of already know what this is about. But in general, this represents like breaking a cycle, breaking a coping mechanism, or breaking something that wasn't working for you. So this could be something that just wasn't healthy, or it can be just that you need to evaluate more time with yourself and your personal time, because you do have here, you also have here the number 1. So this 1 represents not necessarily with other people, but just really connecting back with yourself. And so what cycles with yourself, what habits for yourself are you needing to break right now that aren't healthy for you anymore? Possibly around finance too, because you do have the financial chain, feeling chained down by finances, by abundance related goals, things like that. So what on that level needs to be reevaluated so that you can renew your space and start again, because you do have that rejuvenation, reawaken, and stand stronger. So what are you reevaluating, cutting out of your life that you don't need, like different habits, different goals, different coping mechanisms, different activities that just you don't have time for it, or it's not really doing you any good. Possibly on a financial level. But with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little recap here for you, group 3. A lot of your week, or the next 2 weeks rather, has a lot to do with the way that you communicate with partners, with family, with friends, and with yourself, having to do with these specific goals, like I was saying, and breaking cycles, as well as being your true and authentic self. Because other people may see you one way, but you might just have to just sort of be like, nah, this is who I am. This is the goals that I want. This is where I'm going on a financial level. This is who I am. And communicating it slower, taking your time, and making sure that you're letting them really let it sink in before you judge them for how they're reacting or thinking through what you're changing up, Because if something is really bold, it's also more likely to break really quickly. So you have to kind of think about that as well, and your tactic on how you want to go forward. You also, like I said, are learning, educating yourself on something new, possibly about yourself or old traditions, or possibly even finding a mentor at this time. So taking spiritual classes possibly as well. So you may be being a little bit more bold and taking your life in your own hands, because you do have that wildflower, bold energy, rejuvenation as well. So needing time for yourself, time to sleep, time to eat, time to do easy daily things that you maybe aren't allowing yourself to. With all of that said, group 3 here, I hope you enjoyed this reading here with me today. If you did, feel free to give this video a like if you really did like it, as it's a very easy way to help and continue to support this channel. So I really do appreciate everyone who's already liked the video. Thank you. Also, if you would like to, let me know in the comments down below how this resonated, any feedback, things like that. I'm always interested to see how these resonate for each of you. Especially if you chose more than one pile and how it kind of worked for you. I'm always curious. And lastly, if you are new to the channel and this is one of your very first videos here with me, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's lovely to have you guys here. I've noticed lately that a lot of the people who watch my videos actually aren't subscribed. So if you are wanting to subscribe and see all of the different Monday content that I put out without missing out on any of it, because I do monthly readings on your blessings coming in for the month, timeless readings like ones on your spiritual sort of adventures, as well as ones on a more mundane level, and then these sort of weekly check-ins. If that interests you at all, or other magical content that I bring out, then feel free to join on in with the wonderful community that's already here. I'd love to have you here, but if not, then that's cool too. I'm just happy to have your support either way. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful next 2 weeks, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.